Hi, welcome to my Learn Japanese lesson number 34. In this lesson, I will discuss some examples of verbs in the past tense form. Apart from seeing the examples of some past tense verbs, we will also introduce the plain form of the past tense. Plain forms are not supposed to be polite, so we will not use them in the business conversation. However, some of these plain forms are used for forming certain other more advanced forms of verbs. Hence, it makes sense to learn about them. If you substitute the masu ending with the mashta ending in the polite present tense form of any verb, you will get the past tense form of that verb. If you substitute the te of the te form to ta, you will get the past tense in the plain form. This does not mean the te form is a plain form and could be used as a present tense. It is just that this is a way for easily remembering the plain form of the past tense based on what we have already learnt. Some textbooks teach the ta form first and then they describe the same conjugation logic that we described in the earlier lesson for the te form and attribute it to the ta form. Then they suggest the te form is produced by substituting the ta ending to the te ending. Another point to note is that te is not the only ending in te form. We have de endings also. The plain past tense of such verbs end with da. We will continue with the practice of discussing examples in the chosen form, and then we will be mentioning all the associated forms. From now on, I will add the ta form also to this list. Let us look at an example now. Nakamura-san wa Kimura-san ni Jon-san no tegami o misemashita. Tegami means a letter. Miseru is a group 2 verb meaning to show. Misemas is the present tense. Misemashita is the past tense. Misette is the te form. Misetta is the ta form. This structure of the sentence is somewhat similar to a structure we saw in a previous lesson. That went like, Palo-san wa shimbun de supain no news wo yobimasu. The particle wa marked the subject Nakamura-san. What did he do? Look at the verb, misemashita. It is in the past tense. What did he show? Particle wo marks the object, Jon-san no tegami. What else do we have here? Kimura-san ni is the additional phrase. Ni is a particle used for direction. The action was directed at Mr. Kimura. So, ni was used after Kimura-san. Ni stands for to in this context. In the example quoted from the previous lesson, we had an indication of the means using the particle de. In this sentence, we have the indication of direction using the particle ni. Mr. Nakamura showed Mr. John's letter to Mr. Kimura is the meaning of this sentence. As I narrate some more examples of the past tense, I will also point to the placement of the particle wo. It is not that particle wo has any special difference when used to the past tense. It is just that I am taking this opportunity to talk about the particle wo also. As we noted in the case of the present tense form, particle wo is used when a verb has an object on which the action referred to by the verb is performed. Sometimes it immediately precedes the verb, but that is not the requirement. The particle wo should be seen as an object marker immediately following an object. Since the verb comes last, the particle will normally precede it. Look at the first example. It illustrates the use of a past tense in a question. Nani wo mimashita ka? The verb is mimashita, meaning saw. Miru is the plain present form and is a group 2 verb. Mimas is the masu form. Since it is a group 2 verb, we cut off the ru from the plain form and added masu for converting the plain present tense form to the polite present tense form. We could as well say cut off the ru and add mashta to form the past tense. Please note the I in mashita is silent. It's pronounced as if it were mashta. Mitte is the te form, so mita is the plain form of past tense. I would like to draw your attention to yet another thing. In the previous slide, we considered the word miseru. Now we are considering the word miru. Miseru means to show. Miru means to see. There's a difference there. Nani means what? Crudely translated, this may look like saw what. The sentence means, what did you see? When seen in isolation, the word see in the translation is a present tense form. But in English, did see is the representation of saw in the question form. The word you is understood from the context. The question is obviously being addressed to someone. That person has been indicated by you in English. It can be left to be understood in Japanese. Look at the second example. Kishi-san wa biru wo taksan nomimashita. The verb here is nomimashita, meaning drank. The subject is Kishi-san. It is followed by the subject marker wa. Nomimashita is preceded by taksan. Taksan is an adverb meaning a lot, drank a lot. The adverb qualifies a verb just as an adjective qualifies a noun. The adverb precedes the noun. The particle o precedes the adverb-verb combination. The object of the verb is biru, the word for beer. So, the particle o appears immediately after the word biru, which is the object. The sentence means Mr. Kishi drank lots of beer. Going by did see in the previous example, which happened to be a question, do not try to translate this as Mr. Kishi did drink lots of beer. In English, such usage implies you assert the act of drinking. In the previous example, the usage was related to the application to a question. Here, it's an affirmative statement. Look at the verb. Nomu is a group 1 verb meaning to drink. Nomimas is the present tense. Nomimashita is the past tense. Nonde is the te form. So, nonda is the plain past tense. Here we see the example of a D ending, they ending, te form, ending up with da ending in the past tense. The opposite of taksan is skoshi, spelled as sukoshi, S-U-K-O-S-H-I, and pronounced as skoshi with the U silent. Skoshi is the opposite of taksan and means a little. Let us now move to the third example. This is another variant. Here we have a negative past tense. Nomimasen is the negative present tense. It was followed by deshta to indicate the past tense. In a way, this is like using did not drink instead of not drank, in line with the English grammar rules. The subject marked by particle wa is watashi, meaning I. The object marked by o is whiskey, which is a transliteration of whiskey. This is followed by the verb nomimasen deshta, the phrase for negative past tense. This sentence means I did not drink whiskey. If I had said watashi wa whiskey wo taksan nomimasen deshita, it would have meant I did not drink a lot of beer. The implied meaning here would be that it's not that I did not drink, but I drank a little, not a lot. That is the way the meaning would have got changed. Wakarimashita means understood. Wakarimas will be the present tense of wakarimashita. We have the sentence ending with ka. Wakarimashita ka. So, it's a question. This is a very simple form of a question. It is like saying, understood, with the tone of a question. In English, a single word is not a complete sentence. But in Japanese, a single word in the form of a verb can be considered as an acceptable sentence. Did you understand? Will be the proper translation of the sentence in English. The word understand in English is a present form, but the preceding did makes it a past tense in the interrogative sentence. Wakaru is a group 1 verb. Wakarimasu is the present tense. Wakarimashita is the past tense. Wakatte would be the te form. Wakatta will be the plain form of past tense. If you understood what was said, your response will be as in the next sentence. Hai, wakarimashita. It means, yes, understood. That appears fair enough. But the nuance in the Japanese speech is that when this question follows an instruction, if you respond with an affirmative, you have not only confirmed that you have understood, but also agreed to do as instructed. So, when you are discussing with a Japanese person, do not use wakarimashita to merely imply the understanding part without the promise of following it or doing as instructed. If you have only understood but have difference in opinion on the implementation, etc., what should you be saying? Say, wakarimashita ga. You have to say, wakarimashita ga. Just drag that ga. Okay? When you drag the sentence with an unfinished ga, it indicates your hesitation or disagreement as distinct from merely understanding it. It is the equivalent of I understood, but. Past tense is not always used only in the sense of a pure past tense. Sometimes the act may be imminent and about to occur, and we use the past tense. Let us say you are waiting for a bus or a train. It just appears on the horizon and is heading your way. You may say kimashita, meaning has come, in the sense it has arrived. It is still on the way. It has not yet arrived. Still, we say it has arrived. In this context, we imply it is imminent. It has arrived in the horizon. So, its actual arrival should not take much more time. Such usage of past tense for describing things that are about to happen is common and is acceptable. I believe such usage may be common in many other languages as well. Let us look at another past tense. This one confused me a lot initially. Rather than look at these things from the point of view of grammar, we have to understand them as a way of speaking. You go to an office, you have an appointment with someone there. Yokusoku is the word for appointment. You have a yokusoku, so you go there. The host would come over to meet you at the reception and say, Konnichiwa, yoku irashaimashita. You know, konnichiwa means good day, is greeting us. Yoku means very well. Irashaimase is the phrase meaning welcome. Irashaimashita means welcomed. So, why is he using a past tense? He is just welcoming you and he says, I have welcomed you. You are given an appointment and thus you have already been welcomed. The phrase irashaimase is used in all shops. When you open the glass door to enter a shop, you will hear a recorded message saying irashaimase. There you are being welcomed in real time. Where you have received a prior invitation, you have already been welcomed by way of the invitation. So, they use the phrase yoku irashaimashita. Wakarimashita ka? The last example we have for discussing is a recall of another example from a very early lesson. The one related to phrases to be used when you are treated with a lunch or dinner by a host. In that example, we advise that after the event, you should say, Gochiso samadeshita, arigato gozaimashita. Please note that the word gozaimashita is in the past tense. Here, though you are thanking your host just then, you are using the past tense. Does that sound strange? Building on the understanding from the previous example, shall we say, you would have thanked your host as soon as he or she invited you for the treat, and hence you will be grammatically as well as practically be right in using the past tense. In this lesson, we saw some examples of the past tense. We saw the negative forms and examples with an adverb preceding the verb. We also discussed the location of the particle O. We also saw some unique uses of past tense in certain situations that differ from the Western practices. That brings us to the end of lesson number 34. To watch the entire series, go to my channel Avid Reader 100 on YouTube. To get alerts on the new posts, subscribe to my channel. Deva Mata Kambatta Kudasai.